Hi, welcome back. We're looking at the response times being given by a Windows 2003 file server where we are sending SMB1 remote file commands and getting responses back. So we have read and write requests and responses coming back. We've exported our trace data, which we can see just here. We've exported this data into a CSV. And now we're going to process that CSV. In this video I'm going to cover the preparation of this CSV for further analysis. So here's the file we exported, so we just double click on that. Now let's tidy this up a bit, embolden that, just widen these columns here. Now we have a funny timestamp format here. What I do is I use a custom timestamp format. So if we do format cells, choose the custom option, and we just put in hours, minutes, seconds, and then 3 digits. So now we have the time down to milliseconds. Excel doesn't support anything further than that, so if you put in 6 zeros after the decimal place, it will still only display milliseconds. Now I'm going to freeze some panes here so that the title line is always visible when I'm working. So far so good. So I think we're about ready to do a bit more manipulation of this data. Now one of the problems I have is that I have a situation like this where you can see that I have a read request, and then that read request is for somewhere around 30k, let's say, and of course 30k has to be split across multiple packets, so we have all this sequence of packets here until we get to the last one where it completes the read of the 30k. Now the problem we have is that we don't have this tree ID, process ID, multiplexer ID information in those packets, and I want that information. So I'm going to show you how to create that. Actually, I just noticed I just want to get these cells here to wrap so that we can read them. So we just wrap text on those cells. Okay. I start by sorting the data in reverse order. So I'm going to choose the frame number, but instead of going smallest to largest, I reverse it. Now I have this situation here. In fact, the last command and response from my command from my PC and response from the server in my trace for this particular TCP session is a final read, obviously reading the final chunk of data. Now what I want to do is I want to take this information here and copy it down through these cells. But I have to do this in a rather tricky way. So I'm going to start off by inserting some columns, 4 columns, and I'm going to copy these cells here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, I'm going to put in an if function here, and I'm checking to see that if this cell here is blank, sorry, let's do that again, is blank, then I want the previous cell in my column, previous row. I know this looks a bit strange because I'm working on the header at the moment, but this will become apparent once I copy the cell down the sheet. If it's not, then I actually want to pick up that cell. So we do that. And now I copy that down the sheet. That's filled in the blanks here as far as I'm concerned. I'll show you how I'm going to manipulate this further. The only thing is I think all my operations are on that particular tree ID, so I'm going to copy this formula across the row. And I'm going to copy all of those formulas down the page. I'm copying just by double clicking on the black blob there in the corner. Now I can show you better how this works. So you can see that coming down here we're picked up 2817, but as we come down further we've now picked up 2753 and we've copied that down the sheet, so that seems to be working fine. Now we get slightly lucky here because there's a possibility that we could have had other packets intermingled with this, but because SMB on this particular session is transmitting a sequence of packets as all part of one SMB message, I know that I am going to get sequential TCP segments leading up to the final one, and I don't have to worry about having other things intermingled, as long as I'm sticking on one TCP session, which we filtered in the previous video. So that all looks good. The only problem we've got here now is that if I were to resort this back into normal order, it will mess up all of these formulas. So the way I overcome this, and I use this trick over and over again actually, I'll insert another 4 columns. So I'm going to copy these columns, but I'm not just going to paste them into the spreadsheet. I choose Alt, E and S to get the paste special dialog box. Now there may be, I'm sure there is a way of accessing this via the ribbon. I don't know what it is, but I'm sure you can look it up in the help text. But just to reiterate, I use Alt key, then the E key, and then the S key to get paste special. And I choose values. Now if you look what we have here, I actually have values in here that are based on the value derived by this formula, but I've removed the formula. Effectively, I've removed it by pasting the values. So now what I can do is I can actually get rid of all of these values here. So now I can resort my data by number in the normal manner, smallest to largest, and now I don't have any gaps in my data. Everything's filled in. There's a sequence there. You can see that we have all the values we need. Right, I'm going to delete that column because I'm not going to use it, and I think I'm about ready to start to do the analysis, and I'm going to do that in the next video. So let's break there.